Greetings to all our beautiful listeners. Welcome to the Empowerment Podcast. Speaking, it is Lunga, Mr. Arthur Kumalo. Hope you're having a great day, a fantastic day. Indeed, it's another day that the Lord has made for you and I to rejoice and be glad in it. I hope you're having a great time at home. You're enjoying your stay. Whenever you're listening to this podcast, either early in the morning, during the day, or in the evening, I hope you're enjoying this podcast. You're enjoying your day, and you are having a great day. I know that we have those who listen to the podcast early in the morning when it launches. There are those who listen to it in the middle of the day, and there are those who love to listen when they are done with everything of the day. They are about to go to sleep, and then they catch up to their favorite podcast before they go to sleep. So, whatever time it is, wherever you're listening to me, I'd just like to say hello. We are back definitely with another beautiful, great episode. The beauty of this thing is that we are not just based in South Africa and Africa. It's spread throughout the whole world. So I would like to introduce today's topic like this, that in South Africa we are celebrating, or not even celebrating, but it is National Mental Health Awareness Month. And we are spreading the awareness on mental health and its importance and its, being a thing and how we can help one another with it. And that with such critical topics like this, I am never alone. I normally invite those who know better than I for such topics. And on the line, I have Dr. Khayelihle Makhathini. I think if you have been listening to the Empowerment Podcast, not starting today, maybe you go way back, you'll know that he's a regular face on the podcast. We have had him, I think this is the fifth or sixth time having him on the podcast. We've had him on different shows, and he has, without fail, he's been delivering. So, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Dr. Makhathini. Brother, how are you today?
I am good, but Lunga, how are you today?
Hey, I'm good. It's a pleasure having you. Thank you once again for offering us your time.
Thank you, Budlunga. It's a privilege also on my side to get this kind of opportunity to come and share my knowledge or my 2 cent on your podcast. Yeah, thank you.
No, man. Thank you so much once again. We always enjoy having you, as I just said. Maybe for someone who's a first-time listener of the podcast, as I said, it's been a while ever since we've had you. Maybe briefly
Mm.
introduce yourself. Who is Khayelihle Makhathini? Just a snippet, a broader explanation of who you are. They will find it on all the older episodes, especially the one we first had you. I think you were in detail on who are you. But for now, for those who
Yeah.
are first time listening, who is Khayelihle Makhathini?
Khayelihle Makhathini is from place called Glendale. It's it's the place that is in the rural areas. I think other name it's called Guamapumolo. That's where
Oh,
I'm from. What I have done or who I am is that I'm more interested in understanding the brain functionality, which is it's supported by my studies that I have done. I hold a PhD in human physiology from the University of KwaZulu-Natal. In that PhD, I was doing the effect of HIV and stress in the rodent. It means that I've created a certain model to study how does HIV impact the learning and memory, which I was looking the specific part in the brain, which we call it hippocampus.
oh,
That structure, it is the one that is responsible for learning and also remembering. Then I didn't end there. I've also hold a master's in public health, which is I've recently
oh,
completed, I think during COVID.
oh,
There I was looking at the occupational health of workers in in the higher institute of learning. Was looking things like during strike, how does it affect the workers? Also, other things in generally that are taking place in the Institute of Higher Learning. Therefore, my master's in public health it encompasses the occupational health and also environmental health. Then I've recently been certified.
Oh,
I know it's a lot. Recently, I've been certified as neuroscience coach. We call it it's neuro agility profiling,
mm,
which is the brain practitioner. I'm a brain practitioner now. I can able to profile your brain, then to enhance your understanding about your life, enhance your positivity around your life, and also it helps people to understand more about themselves. When it comes to leadership, when it comes to the things, the weakness and the strong point about your brain, and the way you are processing your thoughts. It's always nice to understand that, because we tend to see people behaving differently, and then we tend to not understand them. Moreover, if people that are on a higher position, that are on leadership, therefore it's always nice to understand who you are. How can you capitalize your brain? How can you maximize your potential and also your inner part of your life to other
mm.
people? That's who I am. That's what I love doing it. Then,
Yeah.
yeah, that is a piece of me.
Yeah, I think our listeners at home are definitely agreeing with me that we have the right person for this job, or for today's topic. As I
Yeah.
said, that in South Africa we are spreading an awareness around
Mm,
mental
mm,
health,
mm,
and as something that I've seen happen now and then, or as a person maybe who's in the space of facilitating and developing, you know, I think I've realized that just a month on its own, maybe it might not be enough for
mm,
a
mm,
topic
mm.
as mental health, because
Yes.
it portrays itself in different ways in each individual.
Mm, mm.
But my first question to this is, can you briefly explain to us the significance of Mental Health Awareness Month and why it is important to have such a month dedicated to mental health?
Yeah. Yeah. We, I don't believe that we only need 1 month. I think it's supposed to be something that is every month.
Okay.
When we are looking at the statistics that we have, uh, basically in South Africa, not even looking worldwide, when we are looking at about 27% of South African has been impacted with mental health issues.
Oh,
When we are looking at the number of murder cases, robberies, sexual offense, and assault, in the first phase of 2024, the around about 153,000
yeah.
cases that have been reported. Not only that, when we are looking at the issue of substance abuse in South Africa, the statistics show the prevalence of around 15% South African, they've been impacted by drug problems, or people they've been exposed themselves to drugs. When we're looking at the high employment rate in South Africa, it also impacts the mental health. When we are looking at the number of cases that are reported when it comes to kidnapping, they are around about 3,900.
Mm,
Now, out of all of these statistics and out of all of these issues that I have said now, it shows that there is something that is wrong, that
yeah,
is taking place in our country, in our
sure.
community, in our families, around us. And these things, they are doing what? They are impacting our
Mm,
mental behavior, and they are impacting the way we perceive things and the way we look things.
mm,
Therefore, the 1 month alone is not enough. I think
yeah.
mental health is something that is supposed to be prioritized, because if our mental health are not in the right position, how are we going to strive in this difficult world? Because the world is difficult on its own.
Mm,
And if we are not having the places where we can go and find some help. For example, when we are looking at the number of psychologists that we have in South Africa, they are very limited. You always hear people when it comes to when they are booking their appointment, moreover, in the public sector, where in public hospitals, then they find that you will wait for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, sometimes a month to be assigned a psychologist.
Yeah.
Therefore, there's a lot that need to take place. Also, when you're looking at the health promotion, I've said that I did MPH. There is a module that we call health promotion. In that module, one of the things, the assignment that I was doing there, it's also about mental health in terms of how it is being promoted in South Africa. Then you can see that we have not done much to promote it, let alone it's having the stigma on its own. People that are living with mental health or that are having the mental issues, not just only people that are living, but also the people that are around those people. Therefore, there's a lot that we need to do. The month, that's why I'm saying that the month alone, it is not enough.
I agree with you a lot, but as a neuroscientist, how does it intersect with mental health issues, or how does these conditions intersect with mental health issues? And could you give us an example of how these fields overlap?
Okay. Many a times, the way I define mental health as a state of the brain functionality that is influenced by the internal dialogue. When we are talking about internal dialogue, we are talking about the things that is affecting you as a human being, As a person, there's a lot of commotion of thoughts that is running in your brain, that is running in your mind. Some other people, they say it's mind. Some other people, they say it's brain. We will discuss that maybe other day, to understand it more into details. But it's all about your internal dialogue. It's about the things that influences your decision when you are making decisions. It's about being yourself, being content as a human being. Are you content? That's why I'm saying that internal dialogue, it is very important. That's why I have 3 things when I'm defining mental health, is that is an internal dialogue and also the surrounding environment. The surrounding environment, I'm talking about people that you talk to, the people that when you are having the issue, that you can run to. I'm talking about in terms of the society. What is your impact on your society? How the society impact you? And also, are you having enough resources, to strive, to equip yourself? Then last part, it is life experiences. Or when I'm talking about life experiences, I'm talking about your upbringing. 80% of your neuronal pathway, it is formulated from your upbringing. Remember, when we are born with the brain that is empty. If I'm saying it's empty, I'm saying that it's not like it doesn't have neurons. It have all the neurons, but all the pathways or the functioning of the brain, it starts after we are born, because now you are, the way your parents are raising you, they are helping you to formulate pathways. Therefore, the intersection between neuroscience and the mental health, it means that I am talking here with the brain functionality, that is mental health, and then neuroscience, I'm still also looking at brain functionality. Maybe to explain neuroscience, it's sort of like we're looking things in the molecular level. We are looking at what psychologists they will see as a behavior. To us, we look at why a person is doing that. If somebody is taking substance abuse, our concern is that how does it change the structure of the brain? How does it impact all of these structures that we have? For example, we have what we call hippocampus. Hippocampus, it is responsible for learning and memory. Therefore, someone that is exposed to drugs, or the mother that was exposed to drugs during pregnancy, when that child is born, it'll be highly susceptible to having issues in terms of difficulty in learning, in terms of remembering. Then you can see that whatever thing that we take every day, whatever thing that we consume every day, it influences our brain functionality, which is mental health. Yeah.
Doug, I hear you, and I think for someone who's listening, they're already like you, all these serious terminologies and all these, big words. But I want us to try and reduce it to someone who's like, Minang someone who just thinks of mental health as if it's being lunatic, being in the streets, dumpster diving, all of these things we see people who we believe are mentally challenged, they do. Let's reduce it. You talked on something, and I even wrote it down. Those who are watching the live video on YouTube will see that I now and then look down whenever our guest is
Yeah.
speaking because I'm writing down some of these things that are important that we're sharing.
Yes.
You talked on the impact of the environment, how it impacts the way we think and the way we view things. And there's someone, I'm sure that there's someone at home who's sitting thinking that maybe izinto zakhe azenzeki noma ayihlangani ngoba they're in the bad they're being cursed or someone is casting a spell on them or whatever. We're in South Africa. That's the context we live in. There are a lot of people who are challenged who abanye bathi bathi banamabhadi. Forgive me,
Yes.
international listeners. I don't have words to put it so that you could understand.
Yeah.
But it's mostly on the curses and whatnot. And these people are not aware that you are challenged here. Your environment is challenging you here, and now you are visualizing these things, you are seeing it, and they're becoming reality. Maybe my question then, with that puts as a scenario, let us put it in that context to someone who's at home sitting, who's not working. You even mentioned them on the first question, the social ills that we're facing and the impacts they have on an individual and challenging them even on their mental health state. Maybe let's talk to someone there and emphasize rather that the importance of your environment and the role it plays into how we think and how we view things.
Thanks for bringing that into my attention. I know sometimes when I'm talking about this, when I'm talking about the brain, it's all about this jungle of words of neuroscience, it would also even give issues when I'm teaching,
Yeah.
But I always tell my students that, what, this is a language on its own.
Yeah, it is.
What you are raising an important point there. I think when we are talking about the surrounding environment, as you are saying that, some of us, for example, I will make an example about myself, I'm coming from the rural areas, the deep rural areas, the profession that was known, it should be a nurse, it should be a teacher, it should be a security, it should be a cashier. Those are the most,
Indeed, a
those
teacher.
were the most, yes, those were the most prominent career opportunity that we knew. I didn't know anything about medical science. I didn't know anything about neuroscience, I always say this, that the environment where you are raised, it doesn't define you. But what defines you, it is the way you think and the way you process your thoughts. For me, I believe now we are living in the era of technology. Where everybody, it is exposed to technology, where everybody is exposed to social networks. The problem that sometimes I always see, moreover, to the young generation is that when they are exposed, when they're exposing themselves to the social media, they tend to take the wrong routes, if we may
Okay.
put it so.
All right.
Social media can build you, social media can destroy you. That's how technology is. Technology is like that. Technology, it can build you, it can destroy you. It means that you can get to technology and look at what you want to be in life. For example, let's say you are interested in studying. All the universities, they are there in the what? In social media. They have their social media page.
Sure.
If you are interested in business, no matter what kind of business you are interested in. For example, I have seen people being the makeup artist studying from where? Studying from YouTube. Now, when we talk about the surrounding environment, no matter how negative it is, the surrounding environment, but also you still have the ability to make decision on yourself if you want to repeat the generation, what your previous generation have done, if you want to repeat it again. You know,
Okay.
we tend sometimes, because I am coming from the home, my mother didn't have a degree, my father didn't have a degree. I was the first one at home to have what? To have a degree. Let alone one degree, but having
Yeah.
degrees. You see, but the
Sure.
thing is that sometimes we are being pushed, or we make decisions based on our what? Based on our background, based on our environment, which is, if we are going to do that, automatically we are going to be the same generation, the one that that fails, and then also we be the generation that also failing. Therefore, surrounding environment, it either is impacting you positively or negatively. There is something that we call in neuroscience, there is a behavioral test that we do. In neuroscience, it's either we are working with animals, we can take animals. There's certain animals that we use. Sometimes we call them the rodent. We take those animals, and then for example, there's a study that was done back in the days at UKZN, where one of my peers was looking at the addiction if the rodent that grow in the environment where there's an addiction. And then what they did, they remove the pups, and then they took it to another environment where they are parents that are not exposed to addiction. In those parent or in those animals that were not taking any drugs, that were there, then these pups, they grew up in that environment. Surprisingly, that they found that those pups, they able to regain the whole genetic, there were no genetic modification compared to the one that were growing in the environment where where the parent, they were addicted to certain substances. Now, it means that sometimes not everybody will have that luck, that we are growing in the home that it's kind of toxic, or the home that is a lot of violence that is taking place there. But as you grow up, you can able to reverse it to becoming a better person, so that you can become a better person.
Thank you for that. And I think that is exactly what I was hoping the point we drive when I made even that scenario. There are those who are sitting at home who are thinking, oh man, they're talking about lunatics. We're not talking about that. It is sometimes even the things that affect us on the daily. It is you when you're feeling depressed, you know. It is you when you're feeling anxious, when you are thinking that there's some burden in me, and maybe it's because I'm not born by the right family, or maybe it's generational, you know, and I'm cursed, you know, or someone is casting a spell on me. Sometimes it is our minds or the state of mind that are being challenged and influenced by the environment we're in. And I love that you made an example of yourself, that the position that you come from, to someone they might use it as an escape and an excuse of that I should I'm given a license to be nothing because I come from a disadvantaged background, whereas it's not. It's up to us
Mm.
to take a decision and and to try and fight and become better people. And I really love that. And now going to my following question, I want us now to look at the stigma that mental health faces.
Mm.
What are some of the most common misconceptions or stigmas surrounding mental health that you know about?
Uh, there are a lot of stigmas. For example, we talk about not being understood by people
Mm,
that are around you, you
mm,
know. We talk about being neglected. We talk about rejection, you know. Um, these are the things, that tend to interfere, that tend to affect the person. A person having the issue of trusting other people, about what the person is going through. But again, you need to understand. We need to understand also in ourselves that sometimes you find that you go to somebody and tell that person your issues or the problem that you are facing that time, and then the person take your issues to other people, and then you hear
eesh.
about other people that are talking about it. You see,
Yeah,
therefore, the issue of the stigma of mental health, it's one also of other big things. Another
yeah.
thing is that not being seen fit for the job. For
Eesh.
example, you are facing certain issues, you are having a job, and then you tell your boss that, you know what, you want to go maybe for 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks to the mental health institution to just rejuvenate yourself. And
Mm,
then when you come back there, now they attest that you need to do from HR these tests to show that how fit you are for the job.
mm,
Now, it tend to be something that a person is sitting alone, not want to expose it because he
yeah,
or she understand that no one is going to understand. No one is understanding mental health. That's why I started in saying that 1 month for mental health is not enough, because when we are looking at even mostly in the Black community, you are
yeah.
seen as a weak person.
Mm,
If you
mm.
are talking about that, you are stressed. Moreover, if you are a man,
It's even worse.
it's even worse. Yes, it's even worse. Even if you are a man, because you are seen as a weak person. You are seen that mostly in our Black community, they even tell you that, you know what, these type of diseases, it's for certain race. I will not say
Mm,
it.
mm,
It's like, oh no, we are talking about this disease of the certain race.
mm,
No one understands depression. No one understands the anxiety. And to think anxiety, anxiety, it's one of the common things that is among people.
eesh.
That's why sometimes people, they can't um go for other things because a person is anxious, a person is having that extreme. We will be always anxious when you are doing something that is new,
Mm,
but you find that a person, because that anxiety, it's beyond the normal one, then a person end up saying that, oh no, for me, this is not for me. I was not
mm,
created to be successful. For example, you talked about the spell. You talked about
mm,
somebody is witching someone.
mm,
Because we want to believe that someone is either wishing or either doing something that is
mm,
not a good on my life. Therefore, the stigma in mental health is still one of the things that is very high, because people, they don't want to disclose themselves, and either you are working or either you are not working.
mm.
We Those people that are on the same parameters, because if you are working, once you go to the mental health institution, when you come back, you need to declare to your work
Eesh.
that, you know what, you are brain fit or
Mm.
you are mentally fit for the job.
Hmm. Hey, yeah, I hear you. And the more we get into this conversation, the more I realize how much it is needed and how much is it's we should have it. And
Mm,
not just
mm,
as you said, not just for a month, but it's something we now and then need to relook, revisit because it's continuously happening. It's continuously happening. Yeah, thank you for your answer on the stigma and the role it play around mental health and the mental health
mm,
issues. But now I'd like us to go back to when to you now speaking that English that we don't understand. I would like us now to look at mental health and the brain function. I remember earlier on that you talked on the difference between the brain and the mind. I don't know if this is the part to explain it or later on. But my question is, how does mental health impact brain function?
mm. Okay. Um, yeah, I wish I can use a simple example, but I hope this is going to be a simple example, ne?
Right.
Um, you build a house,
Okay.
you are building a house, and then you are building your beautiful mansion. Then in that mansion, you are going to have the garage, maybe your four garage.
Mm,
You are having two lounge, two
mm,
sitting rooms.
mm,
You know, it's a four bedroom. You have bathrooms. You have all of those kind of things, you know?
mm,
And then this mansion, you build it, and then you complete it. Therefore, you will need what we call the interior designs to come and do
mm.
what and do the interior part so that it can look beautiful.
All right.
Now, when you start to take or you are having the kitchen, in your kitchen, you put the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Then in your lounge, it's supposed to have a table there with chairs, and then either you put your fridge, you put your stove. Now you see that the whole thing is messed up.
Mm, mm,
Okay?
mm.
That is the brain.
Okay.
The brain, it is designed the way God designed it because it cannot be any universe, spirit, or whatever. It shows that God designed it.
Yeah. Someone created it.
Someone created it the way it look like. It's very specific. That's another thing about it. It is very specific. For example, as we are sitting here, we are seeing each other.
Sure.
It because of the back part of the brain where the information is taken out and then it entering through the eye and then it goes to the back of the brain. And it will never go to the other side of the brain.
Mm,
Meaning that as I made an example with the house, in
mm,
order for you to enjoy that house,
mm.
everything it must be
Okay.
put in a right place.
Sure.
That is the mind.
Okay.
You have a house, which is the brain,
Mm,
but in order to enjoy it, that is your mental health, if I may put it so. Because now, when you go to the kitchen, you do everything in the kitchen, you cook, you do whatever thing that you want to do, you
mm,
know. Then, when it comes to the kitchen on its own, it is the structure, which is, I can say, it is the part of what? Of the brain. Therefore, if you put a wrong equipment in that structure,
mm.
automatically you're not enjoying the functioning of that structure.
Yeah.
What other examples that we can make? If we are taking certain substances, those substances, they tend to interfere with the different structures of the brain.
Mm.
There is something again in the brain that we call it's neurochemical,
Okay.
or with a big weight, it's neurotransmitters, but these are the chemicals that are being produced. For
Okay.
example, you see your old friend that you last seen him maybe 10 years back.
Mm-hmm.
How do you react when you see him?
Yeah. Excitement.
You jump.
Mm.
You see yourself jumping, screaming, doing all of that thing. You don't know that it's because of serotonin that has been released in your brain that make you to jump. What we see a behavior. You know, but if that chemical, if serotonin, if let's say you see someone, you see your friend, the last time you see him, you had quarrel, you had issues, or whatever problems that you were quarreling with. When you see the person coming, a certain chemical in your brain is going to be released, which is this time is not going to be serotonin, which is this time is going to be GABA, because GABA, it inhibits. It means it inhibits every behavior. When you see your friend like, oh, that one, you know.
Okay.
You see,
Yeah.
now, that's why I'm saying that the brain and the mind is inside the brain. That means the functioning of the brain, that is the mind.
Okay.
Yes, that is the mind. Because there is a lot of chemicals that are released. When you think, your thoughts, it provoke your neurons. Then your neurons, they will start to release a certain chemical so that it can entertain that thoughts. Once it's being entertained, then now you start to plan how you're going to execute that thoughts. Someone is coming and telling you that I am selling this product. And then a person is coming to deposit a thought in your what? In your brain. Then once the brain starts to entertain that thought, which is the mind, now it's entertaining it. Now you're starting to be interested. What is all about? What does it do? What are the benefits of this product? Then it means that you are starting to do what? You are starting to understanding. You want more information about this so that it can make sense to you and see if you really need this product. Therefore, that's how it is. That's how when we look at the mind and the brain, the brain is a structure, is an organ that is there, but the functioning of the brain, it is the mind. That's why we have something that we call a conscious mind, subconscious mind, and unconscious mind. When we are looking at those three structures, for me, I normally say that we have the cortex thinking. The cortex, it is the outer part of the brain where all the information is projected, or where the information is sent to those structures. It gets interpreted there. Then we have also the emotional brain. I call it the emotional brain. The emotional brain is when you are a person that look at things through the emotion. For example, someone is coming and telling you your problem. Hey, I'm coming to you and saying that, hey, Lunga, I don't have money. I need money. There's this thing that I'm going to do an interview and whatsoever. You know.
Sure.
Your emotions, if you're a person that's the emotional brain, your emotions kicks in and then you just give me the money. You can even give me your last money.
Sure.
Because you are a person that is looking emotionally. But a person that is looking things on the outside of the brain or on the outer part of the brain will start questioning. When did you know about this interview? Why are you coming now?
Yeah.
You see, we don't like those people. And those people are people that are not taking decisions based on their emotions.
They're not impulsive.
Then after, yes. After that, we have what we call the intuitive brain. The intuitive brain, but this one is always a confusion because the person is like, no, my guts, it doesn't tell me. No, That is the brain. It's in the brain, but the way it's projected in your stomach because of that big nerve that is coming to your stomach, that's controlling your stomach. But that big nerve, it's also there below in your brain. That's why it's called intuitive brain, because it's based on what you feel on your stomach. You can have certain sense of connecting with that person. Therefore, if you are interested of doing the brain profiling, that's what we look at on the brain profiling. On the brain profiling, we are looking at your seven parameters, neurophysiological parameters. In those parameters, we are looking at which side do you use, because each side, it have different functions. For example, the left side, it deals more about words. It deals more about analytical thinking. There are people that are analytical thinkers, you know. For example, me, I am left brain. It doesn't mean that I am left brain. That means I'm not using my right.
Mm.
I am using my right, but the brain, the side that is focusing more, that is leading, it is my left. There are people that have the right, that are right brain. Those people are creative people. For example, people that are in arts, those people, they are creative. They believe on imaging. They believe on visual. They need to see things.
Mm. Mm. I've once had something while you're checking on that, and you'll correct me if it's wrong. I think this is the moment for us to rectify things. I once heard that if you are left-handed, then you are right-brained. If you are right-handed, it was the thing that you just talked on. Either you are left-brained or right-brained. Someone said, or I've once heard that it depends on the hand that you're using. For example, I'm left-handed, and they were like, "Oh, then you are right-brained." I was like, "Eh?" You know. And if we are the other hand, is that true? That's what I'm trying to ask. How to get if you are right-brained or left-brained?
It depends, you know, it depends. For example, I told you about the left and the right brain.
Sure.
I told you, I didn't tell you about your ears, that you either can be left ear dominant or right ear dominant. You can either be left
Yeah.
eye dominant or left ear dominant. When it comes to hand, you can also be the left hand dominant or you can be right hand dominant.
True.
But those things will look at the way that it functions, you know, let alone that your left side of your body is controlled on the right side of the brain. Your
Oh.
right side of the body, it is controlled on your what? On your left side of the brain. I think that person did what he meant, or that what she
Okay.
meant.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's when it comes to the controlling, but the leading, it can be different story.
Okay.
For example, people that left ear brain, I'm sorry, that are left ear dominant, when you speak to them, they don't listen the words, they listen the rhythm,
Mm.
how you have said it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they listen how you have said it. Remember that the left is controlled on the what? On the right.
Oh.
It means that the right brain hemisphere, it develops images. It specializes on images. It specializes on creativity. It
Mm.
specializes on the tone. Therefore, a person that is left ear dominant, when is listening to you, you're saying something, and then that person is not listening the words, is listening how are you saying it. That's
Mm.
why you find they saw quarrels at work because someone didn't hear a person clearly. Those people, they're always in problems most of the time because when they hear someone, they're not listening the words, which
Yeah.
is the person that is right ear dominant. What is going to happen is going to listen the words. Is
Mm.
not listening how are you saying it.
Mm.
Is listening the words
Mm.
because that person, the right ear dominant, it's controlled on the left side of the brain, which is the left side of the brain. It specializes on words and analytical thinking.
Mm. While we're already talking about the medical part of it, I'll call it that because I don't know the right word to use. Um, I would also like us now to look at our follow-up question on
Mm,
the the treatment and care of it.
mm,
We're still talking on mental health to those who are listening. We have not deviated from it. It's just that we are in depth into it. My question now is, what are some of the latest advancement in treating mental health conditions? You earlier on you talked even about the test that happened in
mm,
trying even to understand it. You talked about animals that are used to test
mm,
and treat.
mm,
Maybe what are the latest? Because I know that some of these mental health issues, they reach a point whereby you need to start taking in some medication. I know of someone who does take medication of lowering their anxiety. Whenever they hadn't take that medication, it's off the roof. They can take a small issue and exaggerate it to a huge thing. So talk
Mm.
about the latest treatment or advanced, not even the latest rather, but an awareness that some of these situations they lead an individual into taking medication and treating it and taking care of it.
Yeah, there are a lot of medication for the mental health disorders. However, or the unfortunate part is that we don't have currently, on my last reading, we don't have much when it comes to curing
Hmm.
through medication. Because
Okay.
remember, if you've been listening me, we talked about neurotransmitters or the chemicals that we talked
Oh,
about.
hmm.
You see, the way the medication is designed, it designed it either to mimic that chemical or to bind to the receptor of that chemical. But
Oh,
remember that the chemical is still being released on the system, and
yeah.
that means that when the chemical want to bind on
Hmm.
that whatever receptor, it cannot bind. There is something that we call the neurons, they are like this. They are connected like this, but they are not really connected close to each other. There is a gap in between. It means that in this gap, when the information is coming this side, it's coming to be released and be accepted on this side. We call it firing.
Hmm.
There is a saying that when it fires, it wires.
Hmm.
It means that when the other neuron is firing or it's releasing a chemical, that release of a chemical we call it firing. When it's releasing a chemical to the next neuron, it's going to be what that we call it firing. But as it fires, it wires. It means that it's creating a pathway.
All right.
Now, the drugs, either they are going to come with this neuron and then they'll be released here and then they will bind here. When it's binding here, what's going to happen is that once this chemical is being released again, then it have no space to bind here. Sometimes it can give another problem,
Hmm.
you know. Uh, and I do understand that people, they must be in medication, but it is very important to be in line with your practitioner, either with your psychologist, your clinical psychologist, or your psychiatrist, or your neurologist.
Hmm.
Therefore, these are people that you need to work close to them, and they monitor you like very close, because the neurological drugs, they are not something to play with. It's amazing when we are looking at people, they are taking it for whatever thing. And
Hmm.
then, for example,
Yeah.
there was a drug that was taken, like was misused, for example, like codeine was very misused because people, they feel calm, they feel relaxed, they feel whatever the way a person, and then a person will end up living on that. That's
Hmm.
why the neurological drugs, they are very addictive.
Oh.
Once you are in it, it means that if you continue taking it for the time that is not prescribed by your doctor, then it can end up giving you other problems. For
Hmm.
me, I always saying that the most important thing, you can deal with your mental health through in a natural way, but with the help of your therapist, with the help of your psychologist. For example, exercise. It's for me, exercise is one of the best when it comes to dealing with mental health.
All right.
You, as you are taking your the drugs that are being prescribed by your doctor, it
Hmm.
is very important also to look at your exercise. In brain profiling, we have something that we call brain drives. When we talk about brain drives, they're like a treatment. We talk
Hmm.
about exercise, we talk about sleep, we talk about attitude. Do you know that you can develop a good attitude?
Hmm.
Because there's some people that say that they have a bad attitude, the person is known that is having a bad attitude.
Yeah.
Not because the person is having the bad attitude, it's because of the environment that is affected that person.
Oh.
That means that when you do your brain profiling, then we're able to measure that. We're able to measure your brain fitness. How fit is your brain?
Mm-hmm.
We're able to measure the food that you eat, because even food, it plays a huge role to your brain performance. We talk about exercise. Exercise, I don't know how can I stress it, you know. At least you must able to walk at least 3 kilometers, three times or 4 times a week.
Mm.
Just
Okay.
walking, just walking. I know sometimes people, they were like, oh no, I don't know, in the gym, it's too much and whatsoever. There's a lot of things that people, they give the reason for it.
Oh.
But walking, remember during COVID, people, they were walking, people, they were exercising, people, they were doing all of that thing. Because when you walk, either you are playing some music, that it bring calmness in your what? In your neurons. That it bring calmness in your brain. And as you are walking, therefore the thoughts started to shift the way you think. We have something that we call it neuronal, it's neuronal plasticity. Neuronal plasticity, all along in neuroscience, neuroscientists were not believing it. We thought that the neurons that you were born with are the neurons that you are going to have until you die. But recently it's been discovered that they are new neurons that get formed, or that we can able to accumulate as the times goes on. Therefore, we call it neuronal plasticity. Then we capitalize treatment. Sometimes it capitalizes on neuronal plasticity. Moreover, people that have done behavioral science, they capitalize on that. It means that you must know what is trigger, what are your triggers. That's why it's very important to have a therapist, you know. It's just that I don't know, man, Lunga, how can I explain this thing? Because we think that we must be mentally ill so that we can see therapist. We don't need to be mentally ill. You know, you either you see a therapist. For example, now we have life coach. In life, you must have a life coach if you're a human being.
Sure.
You must have someone that is going to be asking you questions, because there are questions that sometimes you are not asking in your life, the right question, so that they can channel you to the different direction where that direction is having your success. Therefore, if we say people, they must go to therapists, they must have life coach, they must go to psychologists. Psychologists, they were not only trained for people that are starting to feel that they're having the mental problem, but psychologists, they were trained to help you to execute your daily activities. I'm not sure if I've answered you correct or I've digressed. I think I've digressed, but I think on what I've said, you'll get something. But there are other ways of you can help yourself. For example, I've seen a lot of people that have been on that way on an antidepressant, and then leaving those antidepressant and taking it the natural way of healing. Because the natural way of healing, it's just that the natural healing, it requires discipline.
Yeah.
Because walking 3 to 5 kilometers a day, it's not easy.
Yeah.
You know, but it's all about telling yourself that, you know what, I am tired of being in this zone. I want to come out of this zone. I want to be in this zone.
Sure. Hey, Doc, you are touching, and as you're speaking, I'm reminded of an episode that we did last week with one of my guests. She's a life coach, a public speaker, and she even shared with the listeners the importance of even having these challenges. Currently, I just saw on her status right now that she each week, for example, tomorrow is Monday. Okay, we're recording this on a Sunday, so tomorrow it will be Monday. She'll be beginning her week on a challenge of gratitude. She she
Yes.
intentionally will be
Mm,
grateful, even if there are challenges, the reasons to
mm,
complain, whatever. She will
yes.
choose. In fact, I remember that on that day where she told me about that, she said, I'm starting today. I think it was a Friday or a Monday. I'm not sure of when we were recording with her, but I remember
Mm,
that on that day, I had I had waited her without tuning in so that we could start recording. I think it was 30 minutes that she waited. And
mm,
when we started joining the live, I was busy apologizing. Oh, I'm sorry, explaining myself. Where was I all
mm,
these 30 minutes? And she was like, calm down, Lunga. I understand.
mm,
And on my side, I was like, I'm offending a guest, which was wrong for
mm,
me to come late. Not that I'm saying it's
mm,
right,
mm,
but how she handled it, if
mm,
it was someone else, she would have been like, all fire because I'm late and I am the one who requested this interview. So,
mm,
such things, as you're putting it, that sometimes doing these things that seem impossible, but that seem
mm,
like tiring and exhausting. Why would I just want to walk 3 kilometers? But
mm, mm,
they do help. They do make you, better rather than even reaching a level whereby now you need to start taking medication, visiting the doctor. Not that it's wrong. We are not
mm.
bashing it, but
Discouraging it. We're not discouraging it.
yes,
Yes.
yes. But all we're
Mm,
saying is that there are other means. We should learn this culture of treating things before they become worse. There's nothing as dangerous as now having to go to the doctor, drinking a lot of As I said, that I know someone who does take mental medication. Those
mm,
medicines are a lot. You get like five different, with different size and different colors,
mm,
medication, and you drink them in different times.
mm,
It's really a lot, and you can see that what this thing of mental health is really serious. It is not something you could dress well and look all smart, but still you are very much challenged and
mm, mm,
you need
mm,
help. And if we
mm,
could start putting this thing as part of our culture of exercising, as you just put it, of not even taking things in a rush, like understanding yourself. I think it also comes with knowing who you are. And you even talked on something we touched on last on the previous episode, the
mm,
cues and triggers, knowing what triggers you, knowing your cues,
mm,
knowing,
mm,
you know,
mm.
it's basically understanding self. But now
Oh,
you are approaching it in a medical way, or in a deeper way rather than not even medical. And
mm,
it helped me go to my question on the impact of prolonged stress. A lot of people are going through a lot, Pedro. Currently in our country, a lot of people are facing unemployment. Even those who are employed, they're not happy with the salary they're getting
mm,
because there's a
mm.
high inflation. Um,
True.
there's a lot of things happening. Petrol is expensive,
Mm,
you know, food is expensive.
mm,
Um,
mm,
uh,
mm,
there's a lot happening around us, and normally around, and remember that we normally have you around this time of the year because a lot of people at this time they normally have end of the year fatigue, where a lot of people are
mm,
tired, they're stressed, they're feeling like they've wasted a year. They feel
mm,
like a lot has been happening, but it's for some it's even prolonged stress. Others they have not even been having a good year throughout the whole year. There are a lot happen. Other people they are going through divorce. Others are going through maybe their kids are not performing as they want at school. Others school fees are expensive. There's a lot that
oh,
people are facing and going through.
mm.
Maybe the impact of prolonged stress, its impact on our mental health.
Yeah, it is very strong. The prolonged stress. On my studies, I did on my PhD study, I did the repetitive stress. It means
Hmm.
that you expose on one thing constantly. That was my one of my study. Then I look at the epigenetics. How does it change the genetic material?
Sure.
Then it shows that it changed a huge part of
Hmm.
of genetic material. Then the prolonged stress, that's where I think that's where everything it starts. Remember that when you are stressed, there are series of hormones and neurochemical that are released. And these chemicals, they are released and then they are being consumed by these receptors that we have in the system until the receptors, they are tired.
Yeah.
Once the receptors, they are tired, and they are tired. That's where you see a person now is having the fatigue, it's having the anxiety issues. That's where it starts now, and then it develop and develop and develop and develop and develop. Then I think sometimes for me, there's one thing that people they've been telling me. This year I started the thing of having a coach. And when I sat with my coach and then I was describing all the things that I'm facing and whatsoever, the things that I want to grow in, and the things that I don't want to do it now and no, anymore, then sometimes we are too hard to ourselves. That's one of the things that I've been told many times, that Kaya, you're too hard on yourself. And when you explain the things, and then when the person starting asking you the things that you have achieved in life, then sometimes even others, I don't even remember them. It's like, okay, I've achieved 1.3 and 4.5. And then he's saying that, but you know that I know someone that achieved that in the age of 45. You are very young and we have achieved these things. Why are so hard to yourself? Another thing that we have is that thing that we want to be better overnight.
Okay.
We can't. No matter you can hit yourself in the rock, you cannot be rich overnight. You cannot overcome the problems overnight. Some other problems, they are going to be something that's going to be in your journey, working on it. That is another thing, is that we don't bring the awareness to ourselves. This thing is a problem to myself. This thing is an issue. It means that I need to work on how can I get over this so that I can be the better person.
Sure.
Sometimes we want either, for example, when we are praying, we want answers now. There are things that you prayed in your early 20s. God didn't give you those things. And then in your early 30s, God started to give you those things.
Sure.
Sometimes we are not patient enough with ourselves. And I fully understand, because I am from there. When you are coming from home, that there is nothing, no one you can call to help you, to assist you. If you are hungry, you are hungry. You can't call any. I didn't have the lucky of having someone to call when I don't have food. It was me either making a decision of that I am quitting studying, going to work, or I can prolong myself and see what I can do so that I can have food. There are a lot of things. Some other things you find that people is having a degree, is not getting a job.
Sure.
But you find that there is something that you can do which is not related to your work that can assist you. Getting 100 rand a day, it's better than nothing. It's just that sometimes we tend to be so hard on ourselves, wanting that, you know what, I want this thing, I want that, I want that, I want to achieve 1.3 and 4.5. Sometimes life doesn't allow that.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. And in fact, it's something, it was shared today on our service today at church, that we sometimes pray with the mindset of instant. We pray with a due date. So it's, yeah, Father God, I'm praying now, but I mean, this is the deadline. If you don't submit, then I'm done with you. And
Exactly.
unfortunately, we need to sharpen our patience, our listening skill. We need to sharpen ourselves. We need to work on self. And one of the things that my previous guest once emphasized on mostly is the importance of knowing self. And I think it's the same thing you're echoing. Know yourself, know where you come from, know where you're going, and build on that. Build on that. Dr. Makhathini, we are running out of time, and I'd like you to just share an advice to our listener, since it's Mental Health Month, Awareness Month. Share maybe advice to listeners or whatever that is in your heart around this time, and then your parting words.
Yeah. In short, what I can say is that the decision you make today are your library for your destiny.
Mm,
The decision that you make today are your library for your destiny.
mm,
Remember this, mental health, it is all about developing new habits. It's if there's a habit that now you no longer want it, you want to shake it off, it means that we are going to work on it. I have these things I've learned somewhere. It says that 50 repetition, it forms neuronal pathways.
mm,
21 days is to form new habits. It means that it takes us 21 days doing the same thing,
mm,
it will formulate a new habit. It takes 42 days to form the new behavior. Those habits that you formulated during 21 days, then if you repeat them up until to 42 days, then it's going to be what? It's going to be a behavior. Now that's how you are behaving. It takes 66 days for the behavior to become automatical behavior.
yeah,
It means that now no one is forcing you to do that
mm,
thing. It takes 90 days to make a permanent lifestyle. We have
mm,
4 seasons in a year. It takes a season to formulate a total behavior, which is going to becoming your lifestyle. It takes 10,000 repetition to absolutely refining your skill. That means after 10,000 repetition of that lifestyle or of that behavior, it becoming a what? It becoming a skill.
mm,
It is up to a person. How do you want to control your life? That's what I can say. It's up to you. God have trusted you with this life.
yeah,
And this is your life.
mm,
You know what is working for you. You know what is not working for you.
mm,
It's just that sometimes we want to force things. We want to make sure that you know what, I am getting this. Maybe it's something that God is not in the plan for you.
mm, mm,
Therefore, what I can say is as we are wrapping up the mental health awareness or mental health month, make sure that you take care of your mental health. I know that we are people that want to help the families, want to help different people. For example, now we are approaching Christmas.
mm,
There are a lot of things that are
mm,
needed
yeah,
from us, but do what is in your power.
sure,
Because once you start doing something that is out of your power, then that's where the mental health problem kicks in.
mm,
And once you are impacted with that mental health, then it's becoming your own problem, not other people's problem.
mm,
I think we must learn now to choose yourself in a
mm,
healthy way, because there is an unhealthy way of choosing yourself,
mm.
but choose yourself in a healthy way. Help others where you can.
No, thank you so much, Dr. Makhathini. It's been a pleasure having you. I believe our listeners have learned a lot for today. Thank you so much to all our listeners. That's it for today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this episode as much as you can. Thank you.
Thank you.